All right, so in this part of the challenge, you are going to do the same thing you did with the ingredients, where you took your data table and you created a graph. So please do this graph on page 6 of your notebook. So on page 5, you have the table, and hopefully you completed the table and you're able to graph so you can graph all the data points you need. So your graph, like I said, should have appropriate labels and scales. So let me show you my example. This one. Okay, so like I said, you already have a graphing notebook, so you should have all these axes. My data went from 10 minutes of watching TV to potentially 300 minutes of watching TV. So I graphed some of my data points already, and as you can see, they create a linear relationship, right? A constant rate of change. And I need to go ahead and label my axes. So this is my x-axis, my input, my independent variable. So we're going to go ahead and label that. So x-axis, in other words, my input, my independent variable. Really important that these three things are all ringing the same bell. Whenever you see input, whenever you see independent variable, whenever you see x variable or x coordinate, these are things that are ringing a bell as being the same thing. So there's my x-axis. Okay, and then my y-axis is, of course, my output and my dependent variable, right? The number of minutes of exercise I do depends on the number of minutes of TV I watch. This is my y variable, this is my output, or my dependent variable. Okay, so I'll just make that a little smaller. And we're gonna go ahead and label my y variable. Okay, so my x-axis and my y-axis are, oh whoops, sorry, this is a mistake, it should say y-axis. Okay, so like we did with the ingredients, I don't know why that S is missing. Anyway, so my x-axis and y, so we need to label the units. So I know that this is minutes of TV watched, right, is my x-axis. And then my y-axis, so I'm going to add a little room here. My y-axis is minutes of exercise. So in your graph, you should definitely have all these components labeled correctly. Your x-axis, your y-axis, and the units of what it is that are related to each other. Okay. Now, graphing the points is relatively simple from here. You look at your data table. I noticed that for 30 minutes of TV, I have to do 5 minutes of exercise. So I went to 30 minutes. I can zoom into my graph here. 30 minutes is right here. And this is 5 minutes of exercise. So for every 30 minutes of TV, I did 5 minutes of exercise. For another 30 minutes, I did another 5 minutes of exercise, right? 60 minutes is 10 minutes of exercise. And again, the data points create a linear relationship, okay? So go ahead, for your scenario, graph the data points you have. Take a picture, upload it on Dreamseed Do.